My name is Olin Reed, and I've been working in the DevOps space for about, 12 years now. Some of the larger companies that I've worked for that you're more likely to be aware of, Turnitin, which does plagiarism detection on student papers, Netgear, you probably know somebody who has a Netgear switch or router or Wi-Fi access point. I've also worked for Heartflow, which is a smaller company but kind of interesting because they're in the biomedical imaging space. They're able to take imagery of the heart and then parse that and create a colorized model to show obstructions in the blood vessels that can be a predictor for cardiovascular heart disease, which is pretty interesting. And right now, I work for Figure 8, which is in the artificial intelligence space. And in the time that I've been working in the industry, I've really been able to experience the transition from managing racks of servers to managing servers inside of environments such as AWS or Azure or what have you, cloud environments. So it's really been a radical transformation, and it's been a fun ride. Yeah. So my work, as I mentioned, I started out doing more on sort of a combination of the system side, but there's always monitoring. I mean, regardless of what you're doing, monitoring is always a core aspect and requirement to be able to know the status of something. And in those days, a lot of the monitoring was done with Nagios, which is considerably old and outdated at this point, in my opinion. But nowadays, we've transformed to using kind of more advanced and progressive software like Prometheus. And I mean, I've definitely also had to leverage doing builds with and a combination of software, but predominantly a lot of the places that I've worked have had Jenkins in some capacity, and it's just like the multi-use tool of choice for most companies to be able to manage their builds. And it's because of its flexibility and open-ended aspect that makes it such a requirement to be able to manage your builds effectively and to collaborate and to reduce the kind of conflict between people working on developing the same piece of software. Because one of the biggest kind of time sucks for any large project is how do you collaborate? How do you resolve problems quickly? And when you have a shared build system and like multiple people, not just a single person, take responsibility for managing, configuring, setting up, and monitoring this build system, it makes the whole kind of software lifecycle work better. And then just to touch base real briefly on configuration management, the industry's also had a real kind of transformation with configuration management. When I first encountered configuration management, it was with CF Engine, which is like one of the granddaddy of configuration management. But now things have kind of transformed industry-wide towards technologies that make your configuration management more intuitive. And Ansible is, in my mind, really one of those kind of at the front of the pack, because it's taken the knowledge that we've learned from using these kind of lower level, more difficult to use configuration management technologies like CF Engine and just like distilled that and come out with a smarter, more compact, faster product. And it's a lot of it is just about like kind of time to market, because with configuration management, you can abstract so much of your work and be able to do complex things and manage hundreds of servers with a team of like less than 10 people. And that's phenomenal. That's not something you could have done 10 years ago. The skills that employers are really looking for is somebody who's able to come in and be able to do scripting, do monitoring, do builds, do configuration management. And these skills are really just fundamental to being able to help automate and orchestrate virtually any startup in existence. Like, it's really going to be pretty hard for you to find a startup that doesn't use all of those technologies. So this course really leads into the DevOps role of like a junior DevOps engineer, and it also leads into a site reliability role as well. There's very much complementary skill set between these two roles. With the site reliability role, it's more of an emphasis on monitoring and response to problems and less on an emphasis on the creation of the infrastructure and like scripting and management. But they both have quite a bit of overlap in terms of skill sets. And I mean, to a lesser degree, like the industry is moving away from job titles such as systems engineer, which I've held at previous companies, or systems administrator, but those are also job titles that would be relevant. A big skill that they look for is, A, you need to know how to script and program in the language, preferably the language they use, but if not the language they use, preferably a language that's similar. The two languages that really spring to my mind as being the most relevant to many hiring managers would be like Python and Ruby. I feel like are both they're easy to use, and they make scripting and programming fast and intuitive. So for the types of things that you're managing as a DevOps engineer, you want a language which doesn't need to be like super low level. It needs to get the job done quickly, so to speak.